All right. So yesterday we saw that the entire hospital workflow is divided into chunks of events. And each event, once that is concluded, there is a possibility or there may be a requirement where the data which processed during that event has to be transferred from one system to another. So we have all the kinds of events where data may be needed to be sent to the other system, or there may be a situation where the data for that particular event is not required to be sent to another system. But wherever there is a requirement for the data to be sent because they are triggering the uh, event to send the data to another system altogether. So we took the example of patient registration and appointments, right? So whenever a patient gets registered and event gets concluded, then the data which is captured during that patient event has to be sent from PM system to the EHR system, or else doctor wouldn't know any of the patient demographic details, right? So HL7 purely works on this principle of trigger events. Okay, so a couple of examples are patient registration, appointment creation, observation. Observation is nothing but doctor placing an order, and this order has to flow from EHR to lab system. So let us go ahead and divide the patient cycle, which we have seen yesterday, right from the moment when the patient enters into the hospital until the moment he leaves. There are various events that are happening. So they are broadly categorized into registration and appointments and labs and then charges. So these are the four major sections. You will have a couple of other sections as well, like pharmacies and insurances, but pharmacies and insurances are usually not dealt with HL7. We have something called as e-prescription for pharmacies, X12 for HL7, X12 for insurance messages, which are two different standards altogether. Nowadays, people are using HL7 messaging for pharmacies as well. Now, I'll tell you what all message types are used for pharmacies just to show you at the end of the HL7 course. Just the HL7, not the rest of the entire course. Once we complete understanding about HL7, we'll also touch base on a couple of other data types or data message types as well. Now, let's look at the registration event. Okay, we have these four events. So as I just told, we'll touch base on these four events majorly and see what all events can be possible during these events. Okay, and even before looking at it, we are calling these sections or categories, saying that these are major categories that may happen in the real-time world. But this is in our language, in our terms, right? But HL7 has its own way of expressing a registration related section. HL7 has its own way of expressing events that are happening as part of appointments, events that may happen as part of labs, events that may happen as part of charges. So HL7 standard doesn't use the term registration to represent all the events that are happening as part of registration. Okay, it uses its own terminology. Let us look at what all terminologies we have for each of these categories or sections. So registration related events are always represented with the help of a acronym called ADT. ADT stands for admit, discharge, and transfer. So anything pertaining to admission, discharge of patient, and transfer of patient are represented with the help of this particular ADT representation. Okay, what is this called? These are called as message codes. Okay, so HL7 has message codes to represent certain categories of data flow. Okay, then you have appointment schedule, and it is represented with the help of SIU. SIU stands for scheduling. So we are talking about schedule, appointment schedules, right? So SIU stands for scheduling information unsolicited. And then you have labs. Labs are represented with the help of ORM and ORU message codes. ORM stands for observation request message because doctor is requesting an observation to be done. Let's say doctor is placing an order, which is nothing but, let's say, complete blood count, the most famous ones. Doctor is sending out that order, and it will be represented with the help of ORM. And when the result is coming back from the lab, it is represented with the help of ORU, which is observation result unsolicited. An observations result is coming back from the lab. Then finally, you have charges. Charges are represented with the help of the message code DFT. DFT is detailed financial transaction. Okay. So these codes are present in the HL7 message structure. And by looking at the HL7 message structure and seeing for this code, we would be able to determine which type of HL7 message that we are dealing with. If HL7 message has SIU, then we are looking at an appointment related message. And if we are seeing ORM in the HL7 message structure, then we could say that we are dealing with an order related HL7 message structure, or we are reading through an order related HL7 message structure. Okay, I'll show you it in the HL7 message where exactly it is sent and how it will help us to determine which kind of message that we are dealing with. So we'll take a look at that in a bit. Now, that being said, these are major categories of data sections, right? These are major categories of events that are happen. But at granular level, when we talk about admission, discharge, and transfer, there could be many events that are possible, right? So, admit, discharge, and transfer can have n number of events. Patient can be admitted, patient can be registered, patient can have his data updated, or patient might have two different patient records in the PM system where the receptionist would go ahead and merge two records into one single record. Patient might get discharged, or patient might get transferred from one department to another department within the same hospital, or patient may be moving to a different hospital or different branch altogether. So in this way, there are many events that are happening under ADT section. Okay. Similarly, when we talk about appointments, there may be hundreds of events under appointments. For example, patient got an appointment created. Patient might not turn up. The hospital would go ahead and cancel that particular appointment. So creating an appointment is one event. Canceling that appointment is another event. Okay. Let's say patient did not cancel, but patient walked in. So they will perform a check-in for that appointment. The way we do it at airport, we book a ticket, we go to the airport and perform a check-in, indicating that I am in the airport, right? In the same way, when a patient walks to the hospital, his appointment is acknowledged or checked in so that uh, hospital or staff would know that this patient has walked in. Okay. So in this way, there may be many different events that are part of SIU. So every message code represents the event that are happening in the real time world. Okay. So we cannot go through every events. There are more than 80 event types. So we cannot touch base on every one of them. We'll touch base on the most frequently used ones under each of these sections. Okay. So if you look at registration, we may have a new patient registration. We may have a situation where we are updating existing patient details. So new patient registration is nothing but capturing entire patient information. Update of existing patient is like changing phone number, changing address. So the record is already there in the system. It's just that they are changing the phone number and changing the address of that particular patient. Next, you have appointment schedule, which is nothing but scheduling the appointment. So here you may create an appointment, you may modify an appointment, or you may delete an appointment. When I say delete, it is soft delete. So there is something called a soft delete or hard delete. Hard delete is completely deleting the data from the system, which means there is no entity present in the database in any way. But soft delete is nothing but canceling the appointment or striking the data off, moving it to archive tables in the backend, something like that. So usually in healthcare industry, we don't delete any data once it is entered into the database. We may correct it, or we may mark it as cancelled or incorrect data or something like that, but we would never delete the data from the healthcare system. Okay, there are several reasons to it behind the scenes why we don't want to delete the data, but we don't want to get into it right now. But just keep in mind that data is never deleted. Okay, at least to as per the federal law, data for a person who is adult has to be stored for 9 years, I guess, 9 years or 11 years. And who is not an adult, they have to store it until they turn 21 or 18 something. So hospitals are responsible to store that data. Even if they are not using that particular system, they are supposed to retain the data for X number of years. Okay. So all that are part of HIPAA compliance and all. But at HL7 level, we don't delete the data, and if we are canceling an appointment, we do send that notification to other systems if it is required. And then you have charges. Charges are represented with the help of just one event, which is charge information. Then finally you have labs. In labs, we have two different events. One is orders and the other one is results. Okay, so in this way, there are many different events under each section. Again, these are the terms that we use in real time for our purpose, right? For our understanding. HL7 doesn't understand new patient registration, appointment, update patient or new appointment and all. It has its own naming convention or nomenclature or terminology. Let's look at that. So we know that registrations are represented with ADT, right? So new patient registrations are represented with the help of ADT A04 or A28. Okay, these are two events. Whenever a patient is getting registered, they will use A04 or they may use A28. Okay, in the same way, in case of update of existing appointment, they may use, update of existing patient records, not the appointment. So we're talking about registration still. So under ADT, if the patient is getting his data updated in the front end, immediately an HL7 message will be triggered out to the destination system, and that HL7 message would have A08 or A31 as the event type. Okay. Next, you have list of appointments. So appointments are represented with the help of SIU, and the events that are shown as S12 is for new appointment, and S14 is for update of existing appointment, and then uh, you have S15 for cancellation of an appointment. Then you have DFTs, which would represent a financial related transaction that is happening between EHR system and PM systems. Then it would show PO3 as the event type. So there is only one event under DFT for now. We are just going to look at that one. And then ORM representing an order message. So you'll be seeing ORM 001 as the event type. And finally, you have ORU. ORU is represented with the help of R01, which would represent the result message. So we are going to take a look at each of these message types in detail and understand what is the HL7 message structure for each and every message type. So these are the most frequently used data types in the real-time world, or not data types, but the message types in the real-time world. Now let us look at the HL7 message and understand where exactly we'll find this ADT A04 or ADT A28 or something like that. So let's go ahead and pull out the sample HL7 message that we are looking at. So in the first segment, which is called as a message segment, a message segment is the most common segment that will be there in all the HL7 messages. A message stands for message segment header. Okay, this is like index for any HL7 message. Now, the way you have a book and every book has its own index, right? That will tell you what is the content of the entire book, right? In the same way, a message segment is kind of an index which will tell you where you're receiving the message from, where you're sending the message to and all. In this HL7 segment, there is a field called field number 9. In field number 9, you would represent the message code and the event type. And this entire field is called as message type. Okay, so a message 9 is called as message type. And message type is always a combination of message code plus event type. Okay. So message type is nothing but always a combination of message code and event type. So whenever you are representing an appointment message, you would say it is SIU plus S12. We don't see plus here because those are treated as separate components. So what we call it as MSH 9.1. MSH 9.1 is called as message code. MSH 9.2 is called as event type. Okay. And you as a HL7 interpreter, once you look at the HL7 message code and event type in the MSH9, then you will understand what kind of message you are dealing with. So if you have SIS12, then you are dealing with new appointment related data. If you are having DFTPO3 in the MSH9, then you are basically dealing with data that is responsible for some financial transaction. Okay. So this is kind of name of the book. It will tell you what is the HL7 message structure all about. Okay. So these are the various message codes and event types that we'll be dealing with. Let us go ahead and start exploring each message type. So what we are going to do now is from now on, we are going to take a look at what is an ADT message, where it is used. We'll explore the HL7 message structure that will be part of an ADT message. It may be A04 event or A08 or A28 or A31. We are going to have a generic approach of ADT messages. So we'll look at what all the segments that we usually come across in terms of ADT message. Similarly, we'll jump on to the next message type once we complete this one. So for each message type, we'll look at the HL7 message structure, understand what are the important segments, and also understand what are the important fields of each of those segments. And we will have a clear understanding of functional approach, what we do with an ADT message from interface perspective. What are the things that we take care when we are exporting data and creating an ADT message? What are the things that we do when we are importing data into the system using an ADT message? And we will follow the same cycle for each message type. Then we will jump on to SIU, take a look at the HL7 message structure for SIU, understand functional aspects and as well as integration aspects of SIU message. Then we will jump on to DF2, follow the same cycle. So we'll look at all the 5 message types in detail so that you can get clear understanding about how do you implement each of these message types in real time. Okay, so I'll pause here for a minute. Any questions before we jump on to exploring the message structure for AD?
Okay, that's cool.
All right, so we'll go ahead and continue with the exploration of message structure. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so as I just mentioned, we will start exploring each message type. So as we discussed just now, a message type would represent what is the message code and what is the event type. So we are pinpointing to one specific event that is happening in the real-time world with the help of this message type. So if I say ADT A04 message, I am pointing out to patient registration related event. Or if I say ADT A08 message, then I am pointing out to then event where the patient details are getting updated. Okay. So whenever there is a patient registration or an event or an update of existing patient details, you would have these segments that will be part of the HL7 message. This is generic expression. Okay. How many segments will be there as part of a message? And why can't I have only 3 of them? Why can't I have more number of segments and all will be answered in the later sessions. For now, what we are seeing is we are seeing the HL7 message structure, which we see in the real-time implementations. Okay, in real-time implementations, these are the general segments that you would come across. You may see ADT A04 messages, which may have only uh, MSH, EVN, and PID. It may not have other segments. So from my experience, I have created these structures, and these are the generic segments that you would be seeing in the real-time implementations. Okay, how do you end at a particular structure and all? It is a concept of profiling, which we'll take a look at the end of our training. Okay, not needed at this point right now. So any ADT message usually contains these segments in most common scenarios. 95% of the implementations will have combination of these segments. So we are going to explore each segment. Apparently, it would have a message segment representing segment header, message segment header. EVN is a segment which would have event related data. So this will tell you what kind of event that we are dealing with. PID is patient identification segment. PV1 is patient visit. GT1 is guarantor segment where we have guarantor related information. We'll talk more about guarantor down the line. And then we have IN1. IN1 would represent the insurance segment where we have insurance related details sent in the HL7 message. So what happens if patient doesn't have insurance? Then we'll be sending MSH, EV, and PID and GT1. That's all. What if there is no guarantor at all? Then we would be transacting in the HL7 message MSH, EV, and PID and IN1. So it depends. Combination can vary based on the real-time event that we're dealing with. Okay, so what we are going to do now is explore each of these segments one by one and see what data has to be sent in each of these segments. So to do that, we have to go through a table structure for MSH segment. So what we are going to do is we are going to have table structure for each and every segment that we are going to deal with. So the common structure is this is what you will have. Let us understand what these columns say. So first column represents the sequence or the field position. So it will tell you which field data we are going to talk about. And there are properties for each field. So we are going to explore those properties for each field. So each field has length attribute or length property to it. And it will tell you, is this field restricted with some length constraint? So if HL7 says that MSH10 cannot have more than 199 characters, then we cannot have more than 199 characters in that particular field. Okay, so that's what length is all about. And then you have a column for data type. So data type is the backbone for HL7 messaging structure. So we'll explore more about data types in the upcoming sessions. For now, we are going to explore the field information. Later, we will explore how data type will structure each and every HL7 message field. Then you have optionality. Here with optionality, you will see RO. R represents this is a required field, which means you cannot skip that particular field. Whenever you are sending an HL7 message, then you have to make sure that you are sending data in this particular field. Okay. And then if you have O, that represents optional. So optional means you can send that particular field as blank. Wherever you have R, you have to make sure that you are sending the data. You may see few other expressions as well as part of optionality. Number one, we saw R. R represents required. O represents optional. And then you may also have other things like W, or let's say C. C is conditionally required. Next you have B representing backward compatibility. Then you have W, which means withdrawn. Okay, so these are the 5 various representations that you will see in the optionality column. Okay, so if you see conditionally required, it means that this particular field data is dependent on another field within the HL7 message, or it may be dependent on a certain functional reason in the real-time world. Okay, so we'll talk about this conditionally required down the line with examples. Next, we have backward compatibility. So if a field has B, it means that it is retained for backward compatibility. And in the future, they are going to deprecate that field, which means that field is not going to be used anymore. And whatever field is dedicated and concluded that it shouldn't be used anymore will be represented with the help of W. Okay, so that's how you go ahead and interpret what you have in optionality field. Next, you have repeatability column. Repeatability will tell you whether a certain field is repeatable or not. Okay, we'll look at this repeatable concept with an example when we get to the PID segment. Okay, and then you have another column representing tables. So few of the HL7 fields may be associated with a table, and that table will have certain data elements or values. So we are supposed to go ahead and use those elements and values. So we'll explore that as well with examples. Then finally, you have the name column, which will represent what is the name of a certain field. Okay. So in this table, I have highlighted few things in green. So this specification or this data that you're seeing here, I have taken it from the standard HL7 message structure. So you will see the entire segment here. So this message segment can have 25 fields. And this is the structure released by HL7. So HL7 said that we will have 25 fields, each field dedicated for certain data element. But do we need to learn all of them? Absolutely not. We may not need to remember and recollect all of them, all 25, but at least if you know the ones that are highlighted in green, that would be great. We cannot just uh, memorize it right away, but from my experience, these are the fields that we usually uh, talk about during our implementation. We may not have time to look back into the specification and understand. Let's say that vendor says, what are you sending in a message 3456? So we need to be aware of what is being sent in 3456. It would be faster if you are aware of it. So uh, try to memorize whatever is present in green. I have highlighted this particular aspect in all the segments, not just MSH, but MSH, EVN, PID, whatever segments we are going to look at, everything has these highlighted fields that you have to be aware of and keep in mind. So as part of the segment exploration, we are going to touch base on all of these green color highlighted fields. Okay. And these documents will be uploaded to Drive and will be shared with you. So don't worry. You will get this material. Okay. So we'll conclude today's session here. We'll continue taking a look at this MSH segment tomorrow. We'll understand each field. What is this? What is this? What is the functional reason of sending this field and so on. We'll explore each and every field and understand in detail tomorrow. Okay. So any questions from anyone? All right. I'm not hearing anything. Yeah.
Dixon, just one single query.
Yeah.
Now, while you're putting up the fields, you didn't start with A0. Is there any specific reason we don't use 0 for that?
Where 0 here? Hello, Uday. Are you there?
The message or the PID segment, when you were showing it, you put the sequence as A1, A2, A3, but it started with A dash rather than A0. Oh, sorry, you put in 5.
Right.
Yeah, and then it is 5.1, 5.2, 5.3.
Right.
My question is why it is not 5.0?
Okay. So this is the sequence number, right? The sequence number would begin from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if you're dealing with this particular field, the first component is numbered as number 1. Okay. And 5.0 doesn't exist at all. So there is no 5.0 here. So it is starting from 1. That is the reason we have expressed it as 5.1.
All right. Okay. Yep. Good.
Yep.
Dixon, will you provide all the study materials to us?
Yes, yes. All of them are going to be uploaded onto the drive. You will have sample messages. You have all the PDFs that we are going to take a look at, all the PPTs, everything will be there on the drive.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I see that couple of few folks have joined us today. So I would ask them to stay back, and rest of them feel free to drop if you want to go ahead and drop. I'll just have a quick chat with the folks who joined us today. Okay. And whoever want to enroll, they can go ahead and reach out to Srinivas. Srinivas has pasted his number on the chat, and you can go ahead and touch base with him, enroll, and continue from tomorrow. I mean, people who are enrolled will only be allowed from tomorrow. Okay. All right. So let's talk to a couple of people here. Who is this 2036? I'm sorry. Hello. Okay. Anyways, I'm not sure. So Ajal, I spoke with you yesterday, right? So Chaitanya, are you there? Hey, Chaitanya. Yeah. Uh, can you unmute and talk? You have an issue with your mic.
Yeah, Dixon.
Hey, hi.
Whatever you had said in this class, it was pretty clear, and I can able to understand all the things as far as this class concerned.
Okay. Yeah. I mean to ask. What I wanted to know is, today is your first session, right?
No. Yesterday I joined in the demo.
Oh, you joined yesterday. Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry. All right. So we have Ajal, who I spoke with yesterday. Hitesh, I spoke yesterday. Prashant, I spoke yesterday. Sandhya did. Yeah. Sandhya also we spoke yesterday. So Uday, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, Uday. Hi. So I would usually take introductions about people who are joining. So could you tell me what is your background, where you heard about HL7, what is your expectation out of this training? That's all. That's what I'm looking for.
All right. Okay. Yep. So I'm Uday. I'm basically from India, but it's been 15 years. I've been staying here in Hamilton, New Zealand. So it's a very good afternoon from Hamilton. So
Hello.
basically, the reason why I joined this training is I've taken up the new responsibility, or as part of integration team, we will be handling with Rhapsody. So to know the basics about the integration in terms of the medical field, I know HL7 is the basic one. So that's the reason why I joined in this training. And my goal is to not to get perfect with HL7, but at least get a broad understanding about HL7 and how it works, and ultimately go for the MERT certification as well. At the same time, see how it best can help me in my terms of job, in terms of getting the certification for the Rhapsody.
Got it. Sure. Thank you. Thanks for that brief, Uday. We'll look forward for the rest of the training.
Thank you.
All right. So let's talk to Vishnu.
Hey, hi.
Hey,
Hi,
Vishnu.
everyone.
Hi.
Yeah. Good morning. Actually, I'm from India. So I've been working I'm a new joinee and been working as an PAX administrator. So I'm not familiar with HL7 in past of my any work experience. So I just want to know how the standard format and how the HL7 works. And
Okay.
so that's the reason why I just joined today, and this is my first day.
Okay, sure. You can go through the recording that Srinivas has provided.
Sure.
For yesterday's session. So yesterday's was the introduction session where we spoke about a lot of basic aspects. So it would help you a lot in understanding the basics.
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess so.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Vishnu.
Sure.
And let's go to 2036.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, your good name?
Sagar Sharma.
Sagar. Hey, Sagar. Sorry. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I just joined for I'm from implementation team. That's why I want to learn about HL7
Okay.
messages and all.
Okay. Did you work with HL7 before or anything, any
No,
exposure in healthcare?
I never worked on HL7 before.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Thanks
Okay.
for letting us know, Sagar.
Yeah,
All,
yeah.
all right. We'll continue tomorrow. So if you're planning to enroll for the session, reach out to Srinivas and we'll catch up tomorrow and look at other aspects of exploring message structures and all. Thank you, everyone. You all have a very good day.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Vicky. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yep, sure. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.